Show with Elma, Dr. Kimberly, and Dr. Linda.
Hi.
And if you notice, I didn't add a doctor to mine, okay? They the only one that got their doctor degree online. Don't ask them where they got it at, because you might hear something way out there. But anyway, tonight we're so blessed. We're going to share our special guest, but we want you to be wondering, who is this special guest? But until then, we have a commercial. Kimberly is going to do our scripture wall. All right. We want you all to know, finish what you start, okay? I think he's giving you some good music since Carlos is not with us. All right. Philippians 1:6. That is our scripture for this show. And reason why, because we always want you to finish what you start. And why is that? Because some of you all are procrastinators. And we want you to finish what you start. Because we're getting ready to go into 2023. And some of you all haven't finished 2022. Okay, our next one is, while you're trying to finish, never give up. We know there are going to be some tasks that are going to be a little bit hard, but don't give up on them, okay? So, and then the next one is going to tell you, pray, trust, and wait. But don't wait forever, okay? And then the other side says, I can do all things through Christ. And that will help you not to become a procrastinator. If you want one of these plaques specially designed, these are just some that we show off. We also can put pictures on there. We can make these plaques designed just for you, okay? And you can check us out at www.kirkinspiration.com. Kimberly, please. I don't know. Wait, what have you been drinking?
Too much water.
Okay. That water is overflowing the brain, all right? Yes. Okay, all right. Since we know that Kim water.
And what about it burst?
Kimberly, don't have no baby on this show. Okay, so tonight we have a special guest that's going to educate us, and we want you all to meet the one and only. Do y'all know who it is? Do you know who it is, Kimberly? Well, I'm pretty sure the audience don't know either. But we want to introduce to you all tonight, Miss Jackie Shaw. Miss Jackie Shaw. Hello, Jackie. How are you?
I am great.
I know.
I'm so excited to be here with you.
We are excited that we finally get Jackie on the show.
Yes.
Let me tell you why, because it was back, 2020 or 2019? I can't remember. Okay, it was 2019.
Yes.
We've been trying to get Miss Shaw on the show since 2019. Yes. But something always prevented her from coming on the show. Either it was weather or something. But tonight we're so blessed to have you, Miss Shaw.
Finally. She's so beautiful.
I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you.
And we're blessed to have you on the show, because we always like to have people to come on the show to educate these two doctors.
Yes.
You know,
please.
These two doctors need some education, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so we want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to move on.
How'd you find out about the show?
Actually, in 2019, you came to our book signing.
I knew Kimberly had something to do with Miss Shaw being on the show.
To do with it, and she gave me her card and said, "I'm with the talk show, Miss Alma, and we would like for you to come on the show." And it was Soul Talk Volume 3 is the book signing that we are, and we have a mutual friend, Miss Dr. Barnes.
Yes.
So
shout out to Dr. Barnes.
Coming back, man.
Yeah.
And that was Soul Food Volume 3.
Soul Talk Volume 3, yes, ma'am. Soul Talk, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So you was in there.
I was in that edition, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so why were you in the book?
Well, I was sharing my story, which, it's several authors that are in sharing their testimony.
Oh, okay.
And,
it's a real thick white one.
It's the thick, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And my journey was just trying to help people I had just went through a divorce.
Okay.
And on the tail end after being married for 17 years, and then to be divorced, and all the things, the ups and downs, and what I went through, and being, a single mom with three girls, one going off to college, and one in high school and one in middle school. So it was just, I thought I would be married for the rest of my life.
Yes.
And it was just it just took me to my knees.
Wow.
It just took, and my vision was him. I put him before God. And so when you put when you put someone before God, and you worship somebody more than you worship God, God take that person out of your life, and he will bring you all the way down. And he brought me all the way down, not to my knees, but just to the ground, to where I said, Lord, I give up. I'm trying to fix it. I'm just and he's like, I just thought I wouldn't be able to make it with 3 girls, but God.
But God. Who is rich in mercy.
Well, at the time, my daughter, I had one that was 17, graduating college, and one that was, I believe she was 15, and then one that was 10.
Okay, your 17-year-old graduated from college?
No, I'm sorry. She was graduating from high school on her way to college. So forgive me on that.
No,
yes, ma'am. So me and my husband, we were married for 17 years. We took our oldest daughter to school in Monroe, Louisiana. July.
Monroe, Louisiana.
Yeah, I love it. July 9th, and came back and signed divorce papers July 10th. So
The next day.
Wow. But it was a process. But I'm like, and that's another part of why I was in the book, because I had hatred for this man and all this. I just really did. And but God.
I like that, but God.
But God.
But God.
But God, because I was like, oh, when I get out this house, because I had found another house, and not too far, because I didn't want my girls to change schools.
Yeah.
And I said, I hated the man with a passion. And I'm like, and I said, when we get 2 weeks, we're going to be in here a week, and we move into our own home. But things happened, and we stayed in the same house for 30 days.
Oh, wow.
And you talk, cool.
I know you said some good, loving, kind words.
I'm like, Lord,
loving, kind words.
Lord, you see what I'm going through. Why are you taking me through this?
Yeah.
So they were the loving, kind words.
Well, you know what? But I learned later. The power of the tongue gives life or death.
That's right.
So, but it took a little bit to get to the life. I didn't say that.
You had a lot of death.
I didn't say that to him. But seriously, I had a lot of hatred for my ex for a number of reasons. But in my book, he came back after being married. He barely came to church with us.
Okay.
So, and then after we got divorced, he started coming back to my church, started dating someone. In my church. And she had kids, and he'd come up to the altar, and they pray, and we didn't do none of that. But,
What?
Sunday school.
With her, he did all of that.
And he came to Sunday school next door to my Sunday school class. Never came to Sunday school class with me. We were there a good 10 years. Never came to Sunday school. I hated this man, and I was. And now, with going through divorce, I went through divorce, and I went through divorce care 4 times, and it's an 8-week process. And I just needed to go, and it's kind of like counseling, but it's not, the doctors are not there. It's people that went through what you went through.
And so
you get to hear how well you're doing or how well you're not doing. And when you listen to other people, you're like, oh, I'm not too bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not too bad. So, so it was one of those things. And then I, just hatred of, and I was saying, God, make me more like you. Because, in divorce care, you learn either, you go into, when you go through a trauma like this, because it's like losing a limb.
Right.
That's true.
So when you go into it, you go in, you turn into alcoholic, workaholic, sex addict, are you turn to God?
Okay.
And I chose to turn to God.
Okay.
And it was, it was a lot. And I was like, okay, God, make me more, because I was being able to survive. With I said, I'm doing my thing. I own and operate a Shaw in-home child care.
Okay.
I moved out of my house on Friday. At the end of the day, did stop my daycare, moved into my house over the weekend. Monday, I started my daycare in my new home. Wow. So I didn't waste
no time.
I didn't waste no time.
No time at all.
So God has been keeping me all the time. And I was trying to change things to think, okay, still wanting to put my marriage back together after all the craziness my ex was doing. We do, because we want our kids to be in the same house, and I'm like, he gonna change. God change. I was praying for God to change him. Didn't realize God was changing me. And I'm like, wait a minute.
That's good.
Why you, God? I'm not the one.
I didn't do this. He did.
I didn't do this. Why am I going through this?
He's trying to figure it out.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, look,
Jesus
I'm praying for him. I even prayed for the man to come back to church and join the choir. I didn't know he was back at my church, but he was dating somebody in my church, and I could feel his presence, but I never saw him. Because we had two services.
Okay.
So we would go to the morning. He would go to the morning service, and we would go to the second service.
Well, let me ask you this: did you know the lady he was dating?
I knew. You know what? When I was going through my divorce, I asked her to pray for me and my marriage.
But you didn't know she was dating your husband.
But I didn't know. Yeah, she didn't know, because he never really came to church with us, so she didn't know he was my husband anyway.
Oh wow!
Until walked into the church, and then there they stand together, and I'm like, and I said, Lord, and I said, and I used to love to go to church when I was going through this, and he was coming to my church. He came every Sunday, y'all. Every Sunday he was at my church
with her,
and she had two kids, and on Easter Sunday she would dress everybody alike in the same color shirt, and they go up to the altar and pray, and me and my girls are sitting there looking, and everybody's looking at all of us.
Right.
Like, what you gonna do?
Because they trying to figure out what's going on.
Service.
No, well,
Because he came at 11 o'clock.
he came to the morning service, which is 7:45 service.
Okay. And
We came to the 11. Yes.
Okay, but on Easter Sunday, he went to the
We
11.
had one service on Easter Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Is that when
Easter.
you found out?
No, I found out before that.
Oh, okay.
But that was that's a whole. You have to carry me back for
Back
that
for
one.
that one, huh?
But that
Wow.
was something. But with that saying, and I was asking God to make me more like him, to mold me in his liking. And every Sunday, and I live for the weekend. I live, Kim, I live for the weekend. And me and Madge will be at black tie events. I live for the weekend, and I hated for Friday to come, because Sunday, that mean I had to go to church. But God was saying I had to get up and go. And I would say, Lord, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do this. I'm like, Lord, why are you making me go through this? And I got to sit there and watch him. And then I would read all these scriptures and open the Bible, and it would say, the power of the tongue, give life or death. So give life. And then, I said, oh my goodness. And I said, Lord. And so I started saying, and then people would say to me, and I said, Lord, I don't want to be more like you anymore. I don't want to go through this. Because this hurts. I don't want to be the teacup and the fire. I don't want to do this. And I said, and then it dawned on me that my ex, this lady had a type A personality, so every minute had to be accounted for. So once I realized that, I said, oh, she putting him through some things. And so I said, okay, this is good. I'm gonna go to church on Sunday. Now this probably three months have passed, and I'm telling God that. And then so I went to my ex-husband and in church one day, and he come over and try to give you that hug. He was try to give you that church hug. Like we not friends.
Hey,
we got kids together, but we not friends.
We married.
You over there sitting with her, and you gonna come.
And she prayed for us. Ooh,
Yeah,
that's a lot going.
and but I'm just to get to
awesome.
why I'm here. I hated this man so much that, and he introduced my children to 7 women within a year and a half. 7 women. Now I have, like I said, 3 women, three girls. I have 3 beautiful girls. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, if I was a bad person, I can understand why he would be coming back into my church and just acting like nothing. And it's my church home. Because he joined two years before we got divorced. So I'm like, what? And people are hanging out with him and inviting him. And I'm like, okay, But I hated him for what he put me through and what he's seen my girls, because I was a good wife. I know that's right. I was a good wife. I was the mom, the soccer mom. So whatever my girls was in, I was in. Right. So if my girls was there, I was there. So I, he had that life of, he had the life of being in the suburbs, and then he had that other life that I didn't know nothing about. So I'm like, you know what? But I hated this man, and I hated he remarried. He did remarry. He didn't marry the woman
that was in your church.
That was in my church.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. He didn't marry her, but he married another lady, and she's a sweetheart. Okay. She's a sweet. If I could pick a stepmom for my girls, I would pick her.
So he's not still at the same church?
No. He not even in the same city. Thank goodness. He ain't even in the same city. Oh, but I hated him. Sometimes when you hate somebody so much, it starts bringing
discord.
Yes, and bad health for yourself.
I was just gonna say that you
and I was thinking, and I would think of the birthdays, the anniversary, our marriage anniversary. I would think of all that stuff. The holiday, I would dread it. And I finally said, Lord, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to move on and
enjoy life again.
But this is one thing to say it, but it's another thing to do it. Because I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do that one. And so one night, my oldest daughter is in Louisiana. No, she had just graduated from college in Louisiana. Okay. My middle daughter was at Wichita Falls at school, and it was her junior year. And my youngest one was in high school. So I received a phone call in the middle of the night, and I'm thinking, okay, it's on a Friday. I done worked all day. And I'm like, my phone rings, and it's my daughter. You know how you have kids, they own ringtone. And I had the ringtone, and when it rang, I was mad, because I'm like, why is she calling me at midnight and I done worked all day? Because she at college life, she partying, and she want to call and tell me what she doing. And so, but when I picked up the phone, I said, I called her name, and it was not my daughter, it was her roommate. And she was saying, Miss Shaw, it's Amber, and she's been sick all day, and she's had a headache, and she's been vomiting all day. And in the background, I can hear my daughter making this noise that no parent wants to hear their child make. Oh, wow. And I could hear her trying to, vomit something that she didn't have, and moaning like a wounded person. And when she told me that, my daughter played soccer, and a little girl got hurt on the field years before that. And the father was dealt with head trauma. Well, when she got hurt, and after a while, she had this pounding headache and throwing up, because she took a really good hit to the head. And he called his hospital and had the chopper to land on the field and got his baby to where she needed to go. So a couple of days later, he said, Jackie, anytime you have a pounding headache and you're throwing up for a long period of time, you need to get to the emergency room, because something is wrong with the brain. Right. Wow. And so that clicked when she said that. And I said, baby, get my baby to the emergency room, and I'm on my way. And so I told my 2 girls, I said, we putting stuff in the suitcase, we going up to Wichita Falls, we gonna make sure she's okay, and then we'll be back Monday, say pack something for the weekend. Okay. And so we headed up there, and it was the longest 2 hours drive from Flower Mound, Texas to Wichita Falls.
You don't know what's happening.
I don't know what's going on. And I said, so when my daughter called me back, and she says, Mom, by me being a single mom, she said, Mom, I'll go to the doctor in the morning. And I said, no, you won't. You'll go. She said, okay, well, I'll go ahead and go to the emergency room, but you don't come, because I don't want you coming up here in the middle of the night. I said, baby, you just go to the hospital, and I'm on my way. Right. And so that's what we did. And on the way to the as we driving there, one of her little friends, my daughter couldn't walk. She was just so weak. So luckily she had been on campus on the apartments. Below them was some football players that was her friends. So her roommate called one of the football players, and he came up and he carried her down the stairs and put her in the car. And when I got there, it was 10 football players and just it was like 20 friends just sitting there waiting in the waiting room. So that's just what kind of friendship that she had with these.
She had a good personality.
Yes, and I'm like, so when I get to the hospital, she's in a dark room, and they only let one person in at a time. And I said, so I asked my daughter, I said, how you feeling? And it's dark, so I really don't see her. And then they say, we are admitting her into the hospital. So they moved her to another part of the hospital from the emergency room. And when we were in the hallway, when I looked at my daughter is gray. She's a beautiful caramel skinned young lady, beautiful white smile, and her skin is gray and her lips are white. And I'm like, I'm just in awe of what my child looks like.
Yes.
And she's in the fetal position, and they rolling her to a room to get her admitted into the hospital. So as we're waiting in the room that they rolled her into, my daughters and myself was in there, and this doctor walked in, and she was African American, and she was my age. And she was asking my daughter how long she'd been sick. And my daughter was, telling her, what her symptoms was and everything. Well, the nurse came in and gave her a piece of paper. And she said, they can't be right, run it again. And so she continued to talk, and we continued to, try to figure out, what was wrong with her, why she was sick. And the nurse came in again and gave her a piece of paper like 10 minutes later. She said, that can't be right, run it again. And she continued to talk. And 10 minutes.
What was on the paper?
Well, 10 minutes later, the same nurse came in and gave her a piece of paper. And she said, well, it has to be right. It was her blood test.
Okay, she was giving it to the doctor.
Yes.
Oh, she was giving it to the doctor.
Yeah, so she was running the blood test, and she said it couldn't be right, so go back and run it again.
Okay, that's what the doctor
But I didn't know at the
what
time.
What they were talking about.
Yeah. And when she said, okay, it has to be right. You've done it 3 times. So she said, our hemoglobin should be anywhere between a 12 and a 15. Hers is a 3. She said, it's a miracle that she's alive right now. Wow. She said, if it would have been you or I, we'd be dead right now.
Wow.
And feels like she just kicked me in the stomach. And I'm leaning against the wall, and I'm holding my stomach and my legs, and I'm like, just trying to process what this doctor has just said to me. And and I'm just in awe. She said, and the doctor continues to talk, and she says, it's a miracle that she's alive. She said, but I can tell you this, that if you didn't get her here when you did, the sun wouldn't have came up on her this morning.
Wow. So when they said that her blood was a 3?
It was a 3.
So what was that to tell you?
That she would have died if she didn't get there.
So she didn't have any blood, or what?
She was at the lowest that it could be.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So at the lowest that it could possibly be.
So did they determine her red cells or white cells?
Her red cells was not reproducing.
Right.
Yeah. But that was several days before we found out, with them saying that my daughter, with the doctor saying, that the sun wouldn't come up on her. I remember looking at the floor, and the sun, and I'm seeing this brightness on the floor, and I look up to the window. It's 5:45, and the sun is coming up.
Right.
And I'm just, in awe, and I'm thinking, Lord, I have to give my daughter life. But trying to find the words to say and how to say it. And I look at my daughter in the hospital bed, and at this time she's sitting straight up looking at me. And as I said, she was caramel beautiful smile always. She is gray, her lips are as white as snow, and she has tears in her eyes, and her body language is saying, Mom, give me life. And I'm like, I'm just still trying to find the words to say, knowing I needed to give my child life.
Right.
And at that time, I was up against the wall. I felt God's hand in my back, picking me off the wall.
Wow.
And he said, and I heard his voice, and he said, be still and know that I am God.
Won't he do it?
He will do it.
Yes.
And I stood up at that time and I said what God told me to. I said, this is not a miracle. This is God telling me that he is going to put my baby on a pedestal for her to be able to, her and myself to be able to tell the world how good he is.
Yes.
And I said, so it's God. This is not a miracle. And the doctor said, it's not a miracle. It is God, but you had to say it before I could see it. Because of the religion.
Right, with the hospital and stuff.
Yeah. And so when they admitted my child to the hospital, and when I said that, it gave my daughters start having a little bit color come back.
Wow.
And I was like, we gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
Wow.
And so and when I say that, I'm sitting here with you ladies, the doctors, telling you how good God is, and everybody out there in the audience, how good God is.
He's faithful.
Be still and know that I am God.
Woo!
You have to believe.
Yes.
You have to believe in Him.
Yes.
And I'm like, and I remember being in the hospital. They had to give her blood.
Yeah.
And they had to give her platelets to build her platelets up. And that whole time, for 3 days, they are test after test after test trying to find out what was wrong with my daughter. And they finally did the bone tap test to see what was going on with her blood. And then it came back that she had plastic anemia, where her blood cells wasn't reproducing. And so I said, well, can I get her, can I take her home to be closer to home, to Dallas? And they said, that I could. And so I said, well, can I drive her home versus her riding and I have that bill?
I know.
I'm like, I'm still thinking about the bill.
Yeah.
And they said, yes, you'll be able to drive her home so that Wednesday, they let me drive her home. And we stopped by her apartment, picked up some things, and drove home. I went home, took a shower because I hadn't had one in a couple of days. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, I got to go take a shower before I go sit in this other hospital. So we did that. And on the way home, my daughter is in the fetal position and she's covered up. And I'm talking to God and I'm saying, Lord, just let my baby be okay. I said, Lord, I don't know if you want me to do this. I said, Lord, if you just let my baby be okay, I'll break bread with her father. I said, I'll even bake the bread and give him the last piece. I'm saying this,
you were still hating him at that time.
I was still hating him at that time.
Okay.
But when I said that, and I don't know if I was saying it out loud, I think I'm saying it to myself. And my daughter raises up and she says, with tears in her eyes, and she said, Mom, I am so sorry. And I'm like, baby, what are you sorry for? Because I'm thinking she's sorry because she's sick. I'm, baby, what are you sorry for? And she says, I'm sorry because now you're going to have to sit in the same room with Dad. And I said, baby, don't even worry about that.
Right.
I said, none of that stuff even matters anymore.
You are the one.
It does not.
It don't even matter. I said, you're the only thing that matters to me. And when she said that to me and I said that back to her, I felt the hatred
Come on.
just lift off me. It just, because it didn't matter. It did not matter
She was
anymore.
the most important
That was
thing.
the most important thing was my baby.
Right.
And I just said, it's that. So the irony of this all too is when we got to the hospital, her dad came to the hospital once we got checked in Dallas. The next day, like I said, he remarried. His wife had her mother to bake us a meal. Well, back up. I had went and released my other two daughters. Since we were going to be in the hospital, I released the other two daughters to go have dinner with their dad and his new family. I'm like, y'all go, we'll be fine. But I had released everything,
Okay.
so I'm like, y'all can go. Now before that, I'd be like, no, these are my kids.
They ain't going nowhere.
before I was still a work in progress. And I said they could go and do that, and my girls say, "Oh no, we're gonna be with you and our sister. We not leaving her." And so that's what they did. So his wife had her mother to make us a whole Thanksgiving meal.
Oh.
So in this hospital room on that Thursday, we sat and had dinner with his family, his new family, and our three girls. My child in the hospital. His mother-in-law can cook. She can cook. She made homemade rolls, dinner rolls. And I tell you, ladies, when I sit and I broke the roll and the steam that came off the roll,
Stop.
Like your mama.
My mom's.
but when I did it and the steam came up, I said, Lord, I hear you. Because I had just said in the car, I will bake him some bread. And I will give him the last piece. So when I broke the bread, that was God let me know that my baby was gonna be okay. Yes. And I said, Lord, and he through everything, he just kept saying, be still and know that I am God.
Yes.
So how did they start the stem cells for her? Oh.
Well, so when we got to Baylor, Scottish Rite, in the cancer department, the doctor came and started talking with us, and he was gonna test the girls, our daughters. They test them, and my oldest daughter, we were blessed. My oldest daughter was 100% match. Yes. Such a blessing, a blessing. But before we found out that and as a mother, you always wonder how you raise your kids. We talked about that earlier, Kim. How you raise your kids, and when you look back over things, and with everything that I was going through, with the divorce and everything, I always wondered how did I do with raising my children. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, had tore her ACL earlier, and she had just finished up her physical therapy from her surgery. And so my oldest daughter came to me and she said, before we knew which one it would be a match, even if one would be a match, even though same mom and same father, it's not always the case.
Right.
And my oldest daughter said, Mom, if Taylor and I are both a match, I want to be the one to donate my stem cell. Because Taylor just had surgery and she just went under, for that. And I don't want her to go through that again. And she's not heavy, she's my sister.
Right.
And I'm like, and I just started crying, and she's like, and she's like, I just cry like a little baby.
I know that's
and I'm just holding her. She's like, Mom, why are you crying? It's gonna be okay. I said, no, baby, you don't know what you just gave me.
Yeah.
You don't know what you just gave me. And I was just bawling and that was God. And so through this whole thing, God was showing me how good He was, and just to be still and know that He is God. And I'm like, God, I hear you. So anytime somebody told me something, I'm like, it's good, we good, we good. I could sit in the room. I could sit in the room with my ex and no issues. If they were short, they were short. Like, remember, I'm still a work in progress.
But it was a little bit better.
It was a little bit better, but we could see because we had the common thread of my daughter. So when she had the stem. Her birthday is January 19th.
Okay.
So they gave her the pills 3 days before her birthday. So she started losing her the chemo.
Okay.
So they give you the chemo to fight off all of your stem cells in order to take in your donors.
Okay, so they gave your daughter that was sick,
Mm-hmm.
chemo.
Chemo, yes,
the
ma'am.
tablets. Okay.
Yes.
So what did they do with the one that said that she was going to want it to be tested? I mean, what procedure did she have to go through?
She had to go through. She went through where she went in for. It was an outpatient procedure, and they tapped her hip bone and took out her stem cells from there. And of course, they put her out.
Oh, yeah.
and they did that. And when she came to, and she stayed there for like an hour and a half just to make sure her vitals were okay and everything. And then she was able to go home. There was like 3 days that she was sore that she couldn't work out because she's a workoutaholic.
Yes.
But and so she had 3 days that she didn't want to. She was sore, but other than that, she was fine.
Okay, let me ask a question. When you say stem cell, what are you talking about? Are you talking about like blood or fluid?
Yeah, yes. So blood. So what they do is that they go in. It's 2 ways that they go in. It depends on what your sickness is.
Okay.
They'll go in and take it like taking out blood.
Okay.
Like when you go to Red Cross.
Right.
And so you could sit there and be on your computer, do your work or whatever. And then the second one, more likely when it's a child, they will take out from the hip bone.
Oh, okay.
And so, and how they give it to the patient is just like an IV.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they take from your other daughter. Was it like blood? You said.
It was blood.
And then they put it into your other daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so, and usually it takes several weeks before they take on, if they know that it's 100% donor or how much of the donor that the body has taken on. Because sometimes you have a graft versus hostess, is that the body will reject the stem cell. And we didn't have that situation since she was 100% matched.
Okay.
And so within that week, that first test that they did, she was 100% donor.
Good.
Wow.
So it was beautiful.
And it was just blood.
It was just blood.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that something?
And that's why do they call it stem cell?
Because it depends on what they're taking out, because we have so many different things within our blood.
Yeah.
And so what the patient needs when they take out the pint or whatever that they're taking out of the patient, then they'll take that out. They'll send it through this machine and take out what they need.
So it's like recycling?
Yes, and they take out what they need, and then they give it back to the donor.
Oh,
what they don't need, they give it back to the donor.
Oh, they put it back in her, that blood. Okay.
Yeah.
So
They'll
it's
put it
more
back.
like, is it similar to like a blood transfusion?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
So how much did they have to put in her? You say a pint or what?
You know what? I'm not sure how much they put in my daughter. One thing is that they let us go home for Christmas and have Christmas at home.
Okay.
But this was before the transplant.
Transplant.
Yeah. This was before that. But when we went back right after Christmas, so we found out she was sick. When we rushed her to the hospital, that was November 2015. When she had the stem cell transplant, it was January 2016.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So how is she doing now?
She is great. She she was just a blessing. They keep saying miracle. I said, no, that's just God. Every time they say, oh, it's just a miracle, I said, no, it's just God. That's God. That's God. That's God. And the doctors would say that, and they would catch themselves, and they say, this is a miracle. It's God. I said, yes, it is. That's who it is. It's His power. I said, He's a miracle worker.
Yes, He is.
He is a miracle worker, and He worked it out to where my baby, she, so they let us out the hospital that after 3 days.
Awesome.
They let her out the hospital, and they said, we're going to let her out because she's holding she's holding her donor. Her blood counts are up. We're gonna let her go home, but we'll have you to bring her back tomorrow. I said, okay, we get out the hospital, I'll bring her back tomorrow.
Okay.
So I brought her back. They said, okay, well, let's do every 2 days, bring her back. So I brought her back 2 days later.
Okay.
They said, okay, well, let's go every 3 days.
Oh,
And so we
it's
did
getting
that.
better.
And then so eventually we went once a week.
Because it was reproducing like
Yeah,
it's supposed
yeah.
to do.
And so
Yeah,
it went,
making
yes, ma'am.
That's
It went
awesome.
from once a week. And then that first week of that once a week, doctor said, okay, let's go every 2 weeks. And then so we did that
So
twice.
Every time they checked it, it was in that normal.
It was in that normal range.
Range that it needed
It was
to
in
be.
that normal range. So eventually, so we went from once a week, which that happened once.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went to twice a week. That happened once.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to once a month. And then 3 months.
That
and
was
then
it.
5 months. And then they said, okay, we'll see her in 9 months.
Wow.
And then now she goes back yearly.
That is.
She goes back yearly. Yes,
awesome.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But
So-
she was able to go back to school,
Uh-huh.
finish college. Now she's teaching in Louisville LISD.
Get out of here.
Wow.
Cheers to you.
Cheers, yes.
Especially to be a teacher. My God.
Yes.
So what is this that you do now with the stem cells?
So this is I am an advocate for Be the Match, which is the stem
Be the
cell-
Match.
Be the Match, yes,
Okay.
ma'am. So a lot of people always think that it's a dating service, but it's not.
Let me see why Be the Match.
It's stem cell.
Okay, here you
and
go.
that's what when I say that when I told the guy the doctor that God said
Be the match.
he's gonna give me a platform, and this is my season to be out and to educate people of stem cell, because since my daughter was 100% matched, it was 2022 this year that I found out that people of color only have a 29% chance of finding a match on from the national bank.
Wow.
And African Americans, we only have a 8% chance on the national. So we have people, African Americans, that are dying because they can't find. And just because you're a family member, with my daughter being 100% matched, I was told that's rare.
Oh wow.
So you can have the same family member, same mom and dad, and still not even be a 50% chance.
Okay. The blood marrow transplant, what is it used for? I mean, what type of disease would it be used for?
Well, it depends. So when you go into the bank, it depends on what your illness is.
Okay.
So whether it's leukemia or it's plastic anemia, like my daughter has, it just depends on what it is. But when they test you, like with me doing drives, so I'm going all over the place doing drives. I just did one this past weekend. I have been asking companies to partner with me to let me come in and do drives within their companies or whatever the case may be. So Credit Union of Texas, which is huge all over Texas, they have 18 locations. They just partnered with me this past weekend, and we did a huge drive. And we got over 50, and everything was free, from food to everything. And we got over 30 donors to donate.
Oh really?
Wow.
So yeah. So and we're going to keep doing them, and we're going to go into especially the African American community and try to.
So when you say that you are doing a drive, what do you do at that drive? You just
So we educate people on stem cell, of what it is, how they can be a donor, how they can be a hero and save a life. So it's something simpler. And then at the drives, we have these little kits that come in. So if they don't come to the drive, they can always go on the bethematch.com, and they can fill out the information, and one of these kits will be mailed to their home.
so that they can do it at the home.
They can do that at the home. And it's a simple process. It comes in it's a little packet like this, and it has all the instructions on it, what you need to do. They'll scan this with their smartphone and fill out all the information. and then it'll say they'll get to a part to where it says, "Are you going to do a kit?" If it's a drive, are you going to do a kit on site, or are you going to have one mailed to your home? So if they do one on site, then we have these for them to do this with, and it comes with two different. It's self-explanatory.
Okay.
So it comes with two Q-tip swabs. And what they do is that they will just swab the side of the right side for 3 seconds, and they'll place it on this on the thing here, and then they'll do the opposite side.
And you just
and then yeah.
And they can determine from that.
And they just put it right back in here. And seal it up and mail it, so it's pre-postage, paid, everything, and they just put it in the mail, and everything's prepaid, and it goes to the lab. Okay. And so they'll run it and everything, and then they'll put it into the system, to the national bank.
So if they are matched with somebody, then they'll contact them?
Yes. If they are matched, then they'll contact them. So either by phone or email, however they prefer.
So you have to be between the age of 18 and 40?
Yes, ma'am.
Between the AARP swab.
So AARP can't do it.
What's wrong with our swab?
We can't do that.
Well,
our blood is too old.
Yes, well, that's the ideal age, because that's when the bone marrow is, I guess, more stronger.
At its peak,
has it at its peak.
Say we weak.
They said y'all bone marrow.
But if you're already, if you did this at the age of 40 and you're already and you're 55 or whatever, you still stay into the bank until 61.
Okay.
So until 61.
We out of it.
You out the bank.
So it does, but it's important for people that is past the age of 40 to give blood. To give blood at Red Cross, because it's the blood that keeps the patients alive while they wait for their stem cells, because they have to have their platelets and everything. So it's so important, and it's really important for us as African American to donate blood, because like for leukemia, they need African American blood. It's just they can't. So another race can't give to us because our body will reject it.
Right.
So you know what? Can use some.
I don't think I've ever did blood. I don't think I ever donated blood. No.
So that's a good thing. And there's no age limit for that one.
Okay. Why do I have to say that?
There is no age limit. So you can still be a blessing no matter the age as far as the blood. Because like I said, it's the blood that kept my daughter alive while they were doing all the testing.
That is
what about the pre-existing? Can you donate if you have like heart problems, diabetes?
It depends on when you scan the QR code and you start going down. It'll have a list of different things.
Right.
And then if it's something that you can't be a donor, it'll let you know.
Okay.
So it just depends on it. Just depends on what it is. It just depends on what it is, because it is so many different things, but it's so many different things where you can still be a donor.
But
this is nice to know, because so anybody out there of the age of 18 through 40, we need you all to go and do this. So how can they get a package, or how can they get in touch with you?
Well, if they want to get in touch with me, they can go to my website, which is JacquelineLShaw.com, and that's JacquelineLShaw.com. And they can go straight to the website, to the Be the Match website, and they can register and also get a kit mailed out to their home.
Okay. So if we want to call somebody, all we have to do is tell them to go to your website.
Yes, ma'am. And
then they can get the kit sent to them if they want it sent to them.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Okay. I have it on my website, or they can go to the bethematch.com and get it mailed to them as well. Okay. So if they go to my website, it'll take them to the Be the Match website.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
This is really good information
Yes, it
to
is.
know about blood marrow transplant. And thank you so much for sharing. I'm so glad that your
Yeah.
daughter is doing good.
She is
And how's
fabulous.
your other one that
That did.
donated?
Yeah.
She is fabulous.
Well, she has a fabulous mom.
She is fabulous.
Good.
Thank you.
That's good.
No, she is fabulous. So all three girls are doing great. I'm a Gigi now. So
You're
my
Gigi.
oldest one, she has a 2-year-old.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so-
a blessing.
So I am a Gigi. I'm like, look, I'm too young to be a grandma.
That's right.
But yes, so they are doing great. I have 2 that are teachers and coaches. So my middle one and my oldest one teach in the Louisville School District.
Okay, good.
And they're both coaches.
Okay. All right. Before we close, Miss Shaw, what would you say to our audience to encourage them to go and do this?
To please go to the website, Be the Match, or go to the JacquelineLShaw.com website and become a donor. Be a hero, save a life.
Yes.
It's just a simple swab and you go into the register. And we really need, again, people of color only have a 29% chance of finding a donor on the national bank. And African Americans only have an 8% chance. So please, there is a little boy in Killeen, Texas that is 9 years old that has been on looking for trying to find a donor for the last 2 years, and we need to find a donor, African American, for this baby. We really do.
Hey, man.
Amen.
So how long, before we close, how long does it stay in the system?
It stays in the system until the donor that donates is 61.
Wow.
Okay,
That
good.
is good.
Yeah.
All right, so please, you all go to what is it called? Be the Match. It's not a dating system, okay? This is a donor system for blood marrow transplant. Thank you, Ms. Shaw. You have really educated us tonight.
Thank
you.
And your education is better than these 2 doctors over here, okay?
Amen.
So thank you so much,
Thank
because
you.
I've never really heard of blood marrow transplant.
No,
I've heard of the bone
Bone
marrow
marrow.
Bone
transplant,
marrow.
but I never heard of
Well-
blood marrow transplant.
Well,
Is there-
it is the same thing, but this is what they say now instead of saying
Saying
bone,
bone.
marrow.
Oh,
because
okay.
it turns people off because it
Yeah.
says that it hurts.
It's very painful.
So
Okay.
so in my training they said
Say blood.
we saying yes.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much for sharing. We really appreciate you taking the
Definitely
time to come
Get her
out.
back and tell us more of that story with that damn man.
With that
Oh yeah, we're gonna have her to come back and talk
You know, in
about
the comments, they
the
gonna be like, okay,
hatred
what
of
happened?
the man, okay?
Of the man.
All right, and how she was delivered from that. So we're going to have Miss Shaw to come back and talk about that, because I think that's important
That
too.
is very important.
Because a lot of people hate, and I mean they can really hate.
Yes,
So
they
we're going to
can.
book you
But
to come
and
back.
releasing that hate
But it's good.
helped heal,
Yes.
was part
It
of the
will.
healing process with
It
your
was.
daughter.
Yeah, the healing of the hate. All right, I like that. The healing of the hate. Okay, thank you. We're gonna definitely book you to come back on that
Yes,
one,
that would
because
be
a lot
great.
of people that's going through
A
divorce.
lot of women, yes.
We don't want y'all to do like the burning bed, burn the man up. Okay.
Jesus.
But anyway, we're going to close out with Kimberly doing her fashion show.
Yeah.
And then you all tune in every Monday and Thursday. You all are missing some good show. But the good thing is you can always go back
get you
to
some
Facebook
popcorn.
or
Yes.
YouTube. And you can check those shows out that you have missed. Please subscribe. You ready, Kimberly?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
I am
Oh.
very blessed to hear some good news. I like those. Woo, she got it going on.
Got on my wet pants tonight.
That's me why Keith be putting that rope on her, rope her back in. I like those skills.
Y'all, I got my little wet pants,
I don't know.
my Anya Highmark lightning bolt bag. And you know, I've been doing a lot of vintage shopping. So I guess this is supposed to be a vintage jacket. I just love it because of the pearls and all the little embellishment on it.
Look just like those are flashy things too, Kim.
Kind of flashy here.
I can't believe she didn't bring a hat. Where's the hat?
In the closet. It's just hanging there. It's just hanging there.
All right, come on, Miss
I was
Shaw.
like,
We're
come
going
on
to
up here,
close
Miss Shaw,
out
with
with
this.
our
Yes.
T-shirts. We have our T-shirts here, y'all. We got our T-shirts
Come right here.
here. But we're so blessed to be educated on this. This is really good information that we as a race need to be knowing about blood marrow transplant. These T-shirts are designed by my son, Jackie, Emmanuel. He has a www.Kirk Inspiration. And y'all want to flash it? Which one y'all gonna do? Just walk up there. Yeah, Kimberly, to my Kimberly, I'm so used to Kimberly saying, yes, that's Miss Shaw. Look at Miss Shaw got it going on, girl. Do your thing, Miss Shaw. Those are, I don't look like what I've been through. We have them in whatever color that you want. We can design these fashion T-shirts for you. Mine says, trust God. And this is something that I have learned, is to trust God. And after hearing your story about your daughter, oh my God, that just makes me. And yours says, if Jesus died for you, why do you have a problem living for him? And then what you have, Kimberly?
Mine says, with God, all things are possible.
I know that's right. All things are possible.
1926.
That is awesome. So each one of these shirts are designed, and we can design shirts for your church. Just personally, we did one this past Sunday for one of our members. It was a birthday shirt, and it was beautiful. And everything. It had his year that he was born on it and his age, and it was so beautiful. So remember, if you would like to be a guest on the show, check me out at www.elmatalkshow.com. I don't have my degree, a doctor degree. I just have a bachelor's. These two, they are so educated.
I got a Hard Knocks. Mine is from Hard Knocks. The University of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, she's University of Hard Knocks, you know. But anyway, Miss Shaw, we're so happy. And remember, you all, if you are the age of 18 to 40, we need you to, I like this, beat the match. I know a lot of y'all thinking it's
Trying
a
to get
dating
you some
system.
back.
No. But this is a way to attract people to come, though. Be the match, they find out
And your match might
about
be there.
blood marrow transplant. So please check Jacqueline, and it's JACQUELINELShaw.com, or go to Be the Match and look her up.
Or maybe we
You can be
should
a
tell
doctor.
them that they might meet somebody. They'll all come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Be the Match, and you can meet somebody. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can meet that.
All the people come at one time.
Yeah, and y'all can all get checked out.
See, you never know. There you
Yeah,
go. You never know who you may meet while you're swabbing.
Right. Okay, thank you all for tuning in. And remember, every Monday and Thursday, subscribe to the Talk of Life Talk Show with Elma. And if you missed the show, go back and look at these shows, because we need our ratings to go up. I think we close to 300 shows almost? That's pretty good, or more. It might be more than that. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Miss Jacqueline. We finally got a chance to meet this fabulous woman.
Yes.
And we're going to have Miss Jacqueline come back and talk
'cause that's
about
a good
healing
story.
from the hate.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all. Remember to tune in every Monday and Thursday, 8 p.m. If you want to be a part of the audience, come to 1250 Mansfield Avenue, Fort Worth, Texas, 8 p.m. And you can be a part of this beautiful audience. Until we see you what? Face to face. Good night, Glenn.
Good night, Helen,
Yes,
Keith,
love you.
Steven, Sebastian, Vanessa, Tavana, Stuart. Good night, John Boy.